Welcome back to the Business Freedom Podcast. This is Lars Hedenborg, founder of Real Estate B School and co-founder of High Performance Real Estate Advisors. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am in the midst of probably the thing I'm most passionate about in all the land when it comes to business is building a profitable business. And it seems like it should go without saying that when you're building a business, you should build it profitably, although it escapes, I've got to believe, probably 80%, maybe not 80%. Who knows how many real estate teams today are running on slim to very little profit. And that's why I'm into this series. So we're in part 3 today, where it's really a conversation around what I'm seeing in the industry. I'm seeing a lot of team leaders chasing growth. And it seems to be they're chasing growth for growth's sake. I'm talking top line growth and not profit growth. And don't see a lot of team leaders when I talk to them about a plan about moving money around and net worth and like, what's a 3-year plan? What did you want to achieve 3 years ago with your net worth? And are you on track? And not a lot of really responsible practices in terms of team leaders when it comes to focusing on the thing that matters in business, which is profit, of course, culture, of course, happy customers. And at the end of the day, you need a really solid, sustainable profit margin to be able to do all those things long term. So that is the conversation today. If you missed part 1 and part 2 of this series, part 1, we talked about beginning with the end in mind, and really having a laser focused and intentional path to follow when it comes to building a real estate team the right way. And in part 2, we talked about sticking to the model, which assumes that you know what the model is. So I actually broke down what the economic model looks like, and just rules of thumb around what you're really after in terms of where you need to spend your money, in terms of salespeople, in terms of marketing, in terms of administrative staff, and in terms of overhead. And for a fully leveraged real estate team, what should be left over for the team leader to split with the government? And when I say fully leveraged, I mean the team leader is not in production. So many team leaders have to be in production because the thing ain't right from the beginning. They did not begin with the end in mind. So today, Don't Chase Growth is the title, and we're going to talk about knowing your numbers. And when I talk about knowing your numbers, I have like a natural inclination toward, I just have a quantitative mind, and I like spreadsheets, and, I could spend 2 hours in spreadsheet, and sometimes a 15-minute conversation with a person, takes longer than a 2-hour sort of me just being in a spreadsheet. And it's just the way God created me. I'm not a bad person. Do not judge me. When I say knowing your numbers to a team leader, many team leaders, they sort of, they built a team because they were good at the job of being a real estate agent. And the job of being a real estate agent, generally, it's a high ID personality. So, sort of a driver type, an outgoing influencer type person. That same mindset isn't really great at the quantitative, more of the C, the compliant part of the brain. So I'm sort of a rare breed, a DC, high D, high C personality. So I can drive hard, and I can also look at numbers and disappear into a spreadsheet. So when I talk about knowing your numbers, I'm talking about all of the numbers in your business. And, we set up our business in a way where you could really run it from the beach. And what I mean by that is that we have, this process, and we use this process in Real Estate B School, where we have a 3-year plan. We break that 3-year plan down into a year at a time. We break each year down into 90 days, so a quarter at a time, then each quarter into a week at a time. So in a given quarter, we are tracking 12 to 15 high-level metrics in the business. Some are leading, some are lagging. Leading indicators are, seller set to met ratio, or a seller met to signed ratio, or how much seller volume did we bring in this week? Signed seller volume. Those are leading indicators. Lagging indicators are, what's our net cash balance or our net cash flow this week? Like literally how much did we make last week? We basically run a weekly P&L, and we're always looking at our cash position. So, do you have something in place at a high level to know that you're doing the right things in this quarter, so you can stack 4 quarters, you can stack 3 years, and you can crush your 3-year? And we talked about beginning with the end in mind, right? That's how we do it. And so that's what we call a weekly scorecard. And I challenge you to think about, it's a real simple process, but it's really profound, because it forces you to step out of the business and elevate above it, so that you can manage the business from a numbers perspective. The second area that I want to challenge you on is agent productivity. And this is a bigger conversation that I may even do a multiple part podcast series on. When it comes down to agent productivity, there are a lot of team leaders out there that have no idea in a given day or a given week or a given month if their agents are doing anything, generally speaking, other than they may receive an executed contract. The bad thing about that is you're really not serving the agents at a high level, because you don't know if their daily activities, the leading metric there is the number of meaningful conversations you're having on a daily basis. How many of those conversations are leading to an appointment set? How many of those appointment sets are leading to appointments met? How many appointment mets are leading to, new clients? Lead, set, met, signed by agent and by lead source is probably one of the most important things you'll ever implement into your business as a team leader. And if you're on a scale of 1 to 5, if you're 1, I don't do any of what you just said, and 5, you're crushing it. If you're a 1 or 2, there is definitely a process to get you over to the 4 or 5 side, where you have a lot of confidence and clarity around your lead, set, met, signed by agent and lead source. If you don't set it up this way, and you don't know what's going on a daily, weekly basis, you are not holding your expenses and your people accountable, and you will not have a chance at being as profitable as you can be. Which leads me to my third point. So I want to make sure that's clear. Lead, set, met, signed, agent productivity, and also lead source, what you're doing by lead source in each of those conversion points leads to marketing ROI. So the amount of money you're spending to give your team the opportunity to have conversations that lead into, a face-to-face consultation with a buyer or seller. Are you tracking how much you're spending on that lead source, and how much those conversations are costing, how much it's costing you to set an appointment on that lead source, to meet an appointment on that lead source, and to sign an appointment on that lead source? Here's a good example. So we've been doing radio for, I don't even remember when I started, honestly. It probably was 2010, maybe the year we did like 120 deals. It's probably the first year I was on radio. Back then, we flipped the switch on radio. I think I was the only agent on the radio. And I remember I had like 35 calls in the first month. I'm like, this is magic. Like instantly the return was on the one station. I tried other stations. Really, one station has been the main one for us. And I remember it was like $300 to $400 to get me to the front door of a listing. I was the main listing agent back then. And which is not too bad. Back then, my average commission on a list, like on a closing, was, maybe $7,000 to $8,000. So if you can get me to a front door for $400, and I had an opportunity to take home $8,000, even if I only knocked down 1 out of 3, which I was better than that. I was probably 2 out of 3, but even at 1 out of 3, I'd have $1,200 of marketing into, I didn't sell every listing, but I sold a lot of them. And there are inefficiencies in all the conversion points. But you get my point. It was about $400. Now I've got to say it's probably $1,500 to $1,700. It varies. We're on 3 stations, and it varies by station. It's about 4 times less effective than it was. We're getting more commission now, so we're at about 11.5 average commission check on the listing side. We're in a really good market, so more listings are selling that we list. And it's also more competitive, so we're going up against more agents. So I'm able to look at a lead source with that level of clarity, and so I can make decisions. Another example here is, we made the strategic decision 2 years ago to get out of paid home search leads. So we'll do 3.6 million this year on the economic model that I've described, and we don't pay for home search leads. I had a lot of confidence around that because I knew my numbers. I was tracking Zillow for the last, I've been tracking this way for 6, 7+ years. So I knew all of the stats on Zillow, and I had seen all of the price increases and the returns and all the conversion points just going down year over year. We got up to about $140 a lead on Zillow, and it was like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it wasn't 1 out of 10 were converting. It was like 3 out of 100. So what's 33 times our lead cost for per closing was like $4,000, and we were paying a bigger split because it was a buy side. So the numbers just were not working. And so I had confidence to make a move strategically because we knew our numbers. And that's really what I want for you. So marketing ROI, super, super important. So there's the high level weekly scorecard. What are the 5 to 15 data points you have to track on a weekly basis to know that your business is healthy? Number 2 is agent productivity, right? How many conversations are your agents having? How many sets? How many METs? Those sorts of things. They seem like sales management things to track. But teams that don't have that in place are less profitable because they have this complete missing. It's like such a shadow in their business that they're not shining a light on. It's just this big hole in their business that they don't actually know what's going on with the lead efficiency. And it's not even so much agent productivity as it is lead efficiency. Are you doing everything you possibly can to squeeze the lemon on every lead that's coming through your funnel? And then number 3, we talked about marketing ROI. I'm able to make really smart decisions in my business because I track everything that we spend money on. At this point, we have really changed the business fundamentally, where all we're doing are some smaller client events and a couple giveaways that most of it's offset by vendors. And we're doing radio, although the margin on radio is not what it used to be. And we're sort of really looking at radio, it's still profitable. It's still nice to have. And we have the 2 best endorsements in our market. And in terms of the most people that could possibly listen to radio in the morning are on these 2 stations, and it's still not quite returning that great for us. So again, I'm tracking the numbers like every week, every appointment that's set. When a radio appointment is set, I'm able to look at what the dollars spent per set appointment looks like. And so it really does matter. So hopefully there's some encouragement here. Hopefully, I know some of you team leaders are going to listen to this and be like, oh, like you get a headache and maybe you didn't even get to this part. So maybe you're not even hearing me right now because you turned it off because your headache was so big already. I want you to take a breath. I want you to realize that everything I just went through, there's a process to help your business get there. The only way that you're going to have a business that is profitable and sustainable and a business that's worth owning so you can live a life worth living is to do this type of work. It's taken me every bit of 6 years. I founded Real Estate B School in April 2013. It's taken me every bit of 6 years to figure out with my brain how to translate it into tracking systems for team leaders that don't have a brain like mine. And there's no good or bad thing about having a brain like mine versus more of a, a free spirit, extroverted type of person. It just takes you slowing down and reaching out for help. The only thing I have to offer you is a 45-minute conversation with me personally. So take me up on it. Just go to realestatebschool.com, click business growth strategy session, and just take that next step. Real Estate B School may not be a fit for you. And that's not the real driver for the conversation as much as it is. If you don't have this stuff in place in your business, how are you going to get it in place? So we'll just talk about what's working in your business, what's not working, where do you want to go, what do you see 2 to 3 years from now, what's holding you back, and what are the two or three things that we can get to work on right away to give you the biggest result in your business. So go to realestatebschool.com. Don't forget part 4. We're going to be talking about the world is changing. The shift storm is here. How will you respond? And I'll go through all the steps that we've made over the last few years to respond to what is a complete shift storm in our world. So get back and listen to parts 1 and 2 of this podcast series, and we'll talk to you soon.